everyone. Welcome back to She Blurbs podcast. Today's guest is Thurston. Hi, Thurston. Welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Brooke. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, yeah. So I'm a German author that now lives in Canada, in Lethbridge, Alberta, since 6 years. I switched from German to English. In German, I'm published and traditionally published and award-winning, and my books are read between Denmark and Italy in the schools. So now I try to make this move into the English language. Yeah, exciting process.
Wow, that's amazing. So when did you first realize you wanted to be an author?
That was like, so I come from a family, I was like, do a little backstory there, because I come from a family where nobody was an academic or artistic or self-employed. Everybody was blue collar sort of thing. So it wasn't on my radar. But as a boy, I was reading a lot as a child already. First comics and then like pulp fiction already. And then it stopped about when I was, I don't know, when you go to school and you say, what did you do yesterday? And I'm like, yeah, I played with Playmobil and Lego and all that stuff. And your friends are like, really? Still? Right? And so I was a little late that way. And I was like, okay, that time is over. But and then literally the next week, I wrote my first short story. So yeah, so basically it's to balance my fantasy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what does your family think about your writing?
Okay, we have to so I did it as a hobby because it's nothing that you can even pursue, like not even in my mind and stuff, right? So time went on. I finished high school. I got a job. I worked 3 years in a public health insurance. It's a legal job. But after half of the time, I knew I can't do this for the rest of my life, right? Like something was seriously wrong. And I was thinking, okay, it's not that. And my mind was still not set. Maybe I should do what I love to do. But so I was like, maybe I should go to university. But I don't want to study language arts because that's the only stuff where nobody should tell me anything. So nobody was really happy about that first move, okay? You can imagine I would have had a great career there. That was a well-paid job. And not only that, after 3 semesters, like 1.5 years, 2 years, I had the problem that you have to work to make a living even as a student, right? But at that moment, I realized I would have no time to write anymore. And that was what bugged me actually the most with my job. I didn't have time to write anymore. And then I took basically a week to really let that settle. And I did the pros and cons. Do I need a car? Do I need fashion clothes? And that's why I always say, for me, last but not least, it was a lifestyle decision with like the age 24 that I say, like, I work so I can buy myself time to write. So that was the conscious decision with around 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to write your novels?
Yeah, where do ideas come from, right? Okay. So at 24, my hair grew long and I kind of saw myself more like a bohemian Beat Generation author, right? Listening to jazz and stuff. So I wrote 1 or 2 novels that would cater to adult audience. And then I had an idea later on, like a couple of years later. I always kept writing, but then I had one idea that didn't fit. I tried it with students, with, a midlife crisis, whatever. Any age didn't work until it dawned on me, like, what if they are 15 years old? Oh. And I was like, when I was that age, I switched already from comics to The Godfather, right? Like I totally jumped over the young adult fiction time, and but the idea that I had was perfect for that. So I started reading 20, 30 young adult fiction novels. And I was like, okay, I felt like there might be some room for me, my narration. And that was a novel that was nominated as Best German Debut as a manuscript before I sold it. And I sold the film rights. And then life changed. Then I was a full-time author for 10 years after that. So, and then ideas have come, yeah.
That's amazing. So can you give our listeners like a brief summary of a few of your novels if you want to? You can do one novel if you want.
Let's go with a funny one. There's one. It's available in English, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't say. I am you am I, and it's like it's about two 15-year-old kids. She's coming from a rich home. He's coming from a kind of beaten up neighborhood, and he's a hobby boxer. She loves horseback riding, and in science class, by an accident, they switch their bodies. So it's a body switch comedy. And then you think, okay, that was done before. Yeah, but what if one doesn't want to switch back?
Oh.
And I haven't read and heard about that one. So that was a novel I wrote. And I can tell you it's read in schools between Denmark and Italy. As I said, like a lot of schools read that because it's really funny. But, I was also invited by a Catholic school, and then I got a phone call and they're like, page 18, could you not, do you have to read that? I'm like, yeah, I have to read that. So it's kind of juicy in a way. So just, but the kids have a blast. Yeah.
So we can go on your website that I have linked below. We can go on your website and purchase that book.
Yeah, you find the link and everything. Yeah.
Okay. And what is it called again?
I am you am I.
Oh, okay. So can you tell our listeners a few of your favorite authors, and have any of them inspired any of your novels?
So favorite authors. I mean, I have many favorite books, like there are some authors that led me to writing. Maybe that's the right approach first. So when I was young teenager now again, I dabbled, I read so I went Pulp Fiction with age of 14. By 15, I read all the Stephen King novels, and then I read The Godfather. And from then on, there was no turning back, so I was looking at what else is there in like real literature, right? So, and I went to one of the 5 bookstores in my little hometown that used to be 5, and now it's half one, unfortunately. And the lady said, like, about those American authors, they were just writing the stream of consciousness, and the poetry is different from the school stuff. So I went into Charles Bukowski, and I would say he's a Los Angeles writer, and he kind of emboldened me to dabble a little bit more in poetry. Right, I just had the school poetry, and in Germany it's the same. Like, so. That encouraged me there, and it was Jack Kerouac then in that connection, and the other Beat Generation authors that just encouraged me to I should just write, just write and get the words down on paper and stuff. And so that those were early big influencers. I moved on as well, but I still say, like, without them, The Godfather wasn't leading to like, yeah, you can do this. I'm like, oh no, I can't do this, right? There's not even, so, and nowadays switch to, I just get briefly up here. So, and I, I don't know, is it now in Charles D'Ambrosio? He's an American author. He just wrote short stories so far, and I encountered him already in Germany in the translation, and the book was fantastic. And then, of course, I had to check the original, and I think he just has 3 books out there. It's all short stories. He's writing maybe 1 short story a year. It's really, but they're brilliant. So also my wife read it, so it's not like some guy thing, I think he really, if you want to read a good short story or his essays, he also won awards. So he won the Penn Faulkner Award. So he's not unknown in the scene. But I would say at the moment, best living author.
I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
So what was your hardest scene to write, and why?
Hardest thing to write. Give me a sec. I just get a mirror. I'll be back. Okay. No, stay with me. It's a second. Here I'm back. I know it's going to be different. Okay, so why the mirror, right? Like, so I'm currently writing a dystopian novel, and I'm planning. I have, if I plan, or if we talked about ideas, if I have an idea, it takes me between 2 years and 15 years before I start a novel.
Wow.
And so I collect a lot of articles, book ideas, and this. Let's see how this. So you see the wall there? This wall
Wow. Yeah.
is full of notes. The entire wall.
Wow.
Right? So yeah, so if you talk about what is hard to write, because I invent an entire new world in the future. So I'm gladly I got a provincial grant to write this novel for the next 10 months. And it's from the Alberta Foundation for the Arts. It's a literary grant, and I applied, and they found it important that this novel is being told. And I now, with my second language, want to also live up linguistically to that challenge, right? So I would say I write the novel in the first version probably pretty by the end of next month. We are still in May, right? Yeah, end of next month. And then probably 6 months, I will just knit the sentences and go into grammar and words and stuff. Yeah. So that this will be my hardest novel. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Congratulations. Wow. That's wow. So what do you enjoy doing when you're not writing?
When I'm not writing, I think, well,
songwriting, write music.
This one?
Yeah.
So I like music a lot. Like I'm really. It also takes an important part in my novels always. In my young adult fiction novels, I invented a band that pops up in all my novels. Wow. Doesn't matter what you know. And I took the poetry I wrote as a teenager as their lyrics, basically. So it's kind of recite, so the kids can really relate to that stuff, right? Like I do it unedited. And I just actually today I loaded up. I have a weekly blog post about me documenting writing the novel that I was just saying. So every week I do a blog post on my homepage that runs through there. Yeah, where I talk about progress and aspects of writing my novel. So there's a lot of with writing tips, voluntarily or involuntarily, in there. And actually this one is about music, because I invented a band as well, and I just recorded it for Bandcamp, just to give it more flavor and stuff. And so music is way up there. Yeah.
Nice. That's amazing. I want to thank you so much, Thorsten, for coming on my show today and speaking about your novels and music.
Brooke, that was fantastic. I love talking to
you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. So everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Thorsten. If you would like to listen to a few of his music and read his blogs, then you can go to the link below that I have tinkering below. If you have any questions for Thorsten, you can also contact him on his website. I want to thank you all so much for supporting my website, and thank you all for listening.